There's a feeling many people have difficulty describing clearly. A sense that something's missing. Not always in a dramatic way. Sometimes it's subtle. A quiet incompleteness. A sense that things aren't quite right. And when this feeling appears, it can be particularly confusing because things from the outside can seem like they're going reasonably well. From the outside, life can seem stable. And yet the feeling is still there. What's missing? And this feeling can become like a background question. What is it? What exactly is missing? And the mind naturally looks for answers. Maybe it's something external. Perhaps a different job, a better situation, a new opportunity, something that hasn't been achieved yet. Or maybe it's something internal, a different mindset, more clarity, a better version of yourself, something that still needs to be improved. So the search begins. An effort to identify what would finally make things feel complete. And at times, the search seems to make progress. Something changes, something improves. A goal is reached, a situation becomes better. And for a moment, the feeling can soften. But then quietly, it returns. A sense that something isn't quite right yet. And when it returns, the conclusion often feels obvious. Whatever was changed wasn't enough. There must still something be missing. So the search continues. Another adjustment, another improvement, another attempt to reach the point where the feeling finally disappears. This entire process is based on a particular assumption. The assumption that this feeling is pointing to something that needs to be found, that is identifying a real absence, something that's not present yet, but could be. And if this assumption is correct, the search makes perfect sense. All you have to do is find what's missing and then resolve it. But what if this assumption is mistaken? What if the feeling of something being missing doesn't necessarily mean that something is actually missing? What if the feeling is being interpreted as a problem to solve when it may not be functioning in that way at all? If that possibility is considered, something begins to shift because the repeated cycle starts to look different. The feeling appears, it's interpreted as absence. The search begins. Something changes. The feeling softens, but then the feeling returns again. And so the process continues. Not necessarily because something real is being missed, but because each time the feeling appears, it's being interpreted in the same way. And so a sense of incompleteness is being recreated, not by what's missing, but by how the feeling is being understood. And over time, this can lead to a particular kind of life, one that's organized around trying to reach completeness, trying to reach a point where nothing is missing anymore. Because the feeling itself, if it's not pointing to a real absence, then that can explain why this sense of something missing still persists, even when life is going your way, when things are changing, when progress is being made. Because the process itself isn't necessarily moving towards completion. What's happening is that it's a cycle. Every time the feeling appears, it's being interpreted in the same way each time. And this raises a very interesting question. If the sense of something missing doesn't necessarily mean that something's missing, then what are we trying to resolve? And we're definitely going to further explore this in further videos.